4-2. If you were following the Nation Council last couple of days, there, uh, yesterday we had starting on Thursday, we had a Navigated Committee work session on this legislation, and then yesterday we had a Navigated Committee meeting specifically for this legislation, and then today we'll looking towards having discussion on this. Um, the legislation is known as the 2021 Arizona Compact Amendments related to appendices, transfer pool agreements, and MOUs with other tribal governments. So I just want to say thank you everyone for listening in. I know there's an Eastern Agency Council meeting going on right now. Good morning to everybody that's listening in there from Eastern Agency. Um, I think is that another agency council meeting, or is that the only one? It's the only one, huh? Yeah. Oh,
I'll get calling in.
oh, Central Agency Council is happening out right now too as well. Good morning to everybody listening in from Central Agency Council meeting. I know part of this discussion, sir, they're having right now is about about the ARPA funding. Thank you very much, colleagues, for being on the line. Looks like we might have a quorum now. Let me see. One, two, three, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 11. Wow. Oh, looks like we might have everyone. We might have a quorum now. Looks like it. Good morning, everyone. Let's go ahead and are we recording? Go ahead and get this started here this morning. Good morning again. Thank you to everyone listening in this morning. It's a beautiful morning here in Winter Rock, Arizona. We have a proposed agenda here before us that was put 24 hours in advance. And this is for a special session. There was a special session that was requested by a member of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. And how many signatures did we get on that on there? There was 15 signatures on that on that request to have this special session today, Saturday, April 10th, 2021. The time now is 10:11 a.m. Again, good morning to everyone listening in. Um, uh, we are here in the Navajo Nation Council Chambers in Winter Rock, Arizona, on the Navajo Nation. Presiding is myself, Seth Damon, Speaker of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. They call the meeting in order at 10:11 a.m. Moving on down to a roll call. Let's go ahead and get a roll call going, and then after that, we can go ahead and go on to an invitation and then continue on our planning agenda. With that, Mr. Bello will be taking roll call this morning.
Honorable Elmer Begay.
Present.
Honorable Elmer Begay answered roll call. Honorable Kealan Begay Jr.
Delegate Kalen's present. Thank you.
Honorable Kealan Begay Jr. answered roll call. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. did not answer roll call. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not answer roll call. Honorable Regina Charles Newton.
Present.
Honorable Regina Charles Newton answered roll call. Honorable Amber Kenneth-Balcrotty.
Good morning, Delegate Amber Kenneth-Balcrotty is present. Thank you.
Honorable Amber Kenneth-Balcrotty answered roll call. Honorable Speaker Damon. Honorable Speaker Damon.
Present.
Honorable Speaker Damon answered roll call. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. did not answer roll call. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Present.
Honorable Mark Freeland answered roll call. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Hello, Mr. President. Good morning.
Honorable Pernell Halona answered roll call. Honorable Jamie Henyo.
He is present.
Honorable Jamie Henyo answered roll call. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James did not enter roll call. Honorable Ricky Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez is present.
Honorable Ricky Nez entered roll call. Honorable Carl Slater. Honorable Carl Slater.
Present.
Honorable Carl Slater answered roll call. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Present.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. answered roll call. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. did not enter roll call. Honorable Otto So. Honorable
I'm
Otto
here.
So. Honorable Otto So answered roll call. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So did not enter roll call. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not answer roll call. Honorable Eugene So.
Share.
Honorable Eugene So answered roll call. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr.
Present.
Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. answered roll call. Honorable Edison Winika. Honorable Edison Winika. Honorable Edison Winika did not answer roll call. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie did not answer roll call. Honorable Jimmy Ellahare. Honorable Jimmy Ellahare. Honorable Jimmy Ellahare did not answer roll call. Going back up. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. did not answer roll call. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not answer roll call. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. did not answer roll call. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James.
Present.
Honorable Vince James answered roll call. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. did not answer roll call. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So did not answer roll call. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not answer roll call. Honorable Edison Winika. Honorable Edison Winika answered roll call. Honorable Edison. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie did not answer roll call. Honorable Jimmy Ellahare. Honorable Jimmy Ellahare. Honorable Jimmy Ellahare did not answer roll call. With that, Mr. Speaker, we have 16 members that answered roll call. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Paul Begay Jr. via text answered roll call, and Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. via text answered roll call. With that, Mr. Speaker, you have 18 members are present. Honorable Speaker, you have 18 members that answered roll call. 6 did not answer roll call, and 1 excused. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bello. With that, colleagues, we have 18 members present this morning. Moving on down to application, looking to see if Honorable Chairman Hina. Chairman Hina, you mind doing an invocation for us this morning?
Good morning. Can you hear me, Speaker?
Yes.
Just those
Yeah.
let's all come together this morning and to the Speaker Damon those in the 24th Navajo Nation Council. Could I ask does need to have the leads with you? I small house. It's yes, just family. Could I be for now? Any, but I back here, I need some code. Di ya hata ya hinan sin Asia it's not the honey bloody by Haley ko. Colony Conasson. Eastern the 20 the classical. The Benache ya di corner. Ya dinner at Hegi like a nice day. The Nikon Yadin. No cotton every hit of job with fathers and Yitikon. He had his sogo. The corner Yadiba and had Agita. I don't know some side case of the Hashendo, Hitsoka. Jaban side case of Yadina had died, not Jacon, and he didn't know. I don't know Yadikon. You know, it's funny. Don Juno Aya Kudo Asada in Atat Not at Hate Aya Kudon Juno still at least on Haimson. Dominache Aya de Con Aya de hits a case the Aya Habitska Haimson. It is it's on Haimson. Don the Decon Aya Nasa in Sahakeso. Jota Aya de say that is here. Adaminache Aya de Con. Ya di the Kiki at Hegi. Nikada is so, but say that easy. Nishnego. But ya Kodo. Was you not sleep that didn't know? Say that easy. Ado Hojo and Sahak Kish. Ado Hojo and Nason Sahak Kiski. Jota ya, so that is Ado Bifaj. Ado Koni Madonija. That Ado Kon. You must need to sunny that day question. Crashing called that he came that Hegi. So Yakon Bansa Keso. Juna Bansa Keso, Juna Banata. So that yet that is Zinko. Adding in the Netherlands Nigi. You died that he not started. At least jumped out as in the and he not try could aim the Hikase. Even the Cheba Kilinko. Doctor Ayati Kiki at the Snoba Hasini. So a car nice day in the bed that day, you lean that day because she that day. The A thought the Bikuni Blanco. So a don't get a Kodos that Kodoshi has such in Hatalia. Way back in I don't know Jaya Koya, but the Yastoko. So that was so. Even the JRD Bini be to the Zinigi. The Kodoya, DD, not at and Jonathan. It's Eastern Hagi. Adoti Koy is on it Hagi, Bandit Higi. Juno is Silicon Hagi. Ado, Benache, Kodoy, Ado Tahana Sobina de English. Kodoy it's this Silico. Ado Ani Koy Akita in the Hurtado. Adult Ado the Tagon is no Hojonga. No, but Ayati a peanut arches Zindako. Adam not sitting in the Netherlands. He give it a citizenship. They not sound at least. I need for a peanut at the easy. Crossing Sony citizen as that end actually starting Heinz and Kodo in the Netherlands. Even that you could do deep in it, so to do the Hasido. Being a star, I don't know. I just try. It is any other Dasido. I don't know. I could do history. I don't care. Or I don't like history. As he answered, I could have Hojodo. You know, Hojodo. As all in it, Hojodo. Even if I could do Hojon has sleep. We do not sleep. I can't ask you to Speaker David.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman Henio, for that wonderful prayer. Thank you for praying for only members of the council, but also for our Navajo people and all our leaders, everybody listening in. Kat, thank you very much for doing that this morning. That, colleagues, moving on down on the agenda that we have, I do have next recognizing guests and visiting officials to the Navajo Nation. At this time, are there any recognitions of guests or visiting officials?
Speaker Damon, Delegate Rick Nez, request to
Yes,
speak.
Chairman. Good morning, Chairman.
Thank
Floor
you.
is yours.
Thank you, Speaker Damon. I just want to say thank you to our staff. They're always there for us to assist us in all that we need, as well as the Legislative Council. So I just want to say thank you to our staff and good job. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman Nez. That, any other comments, questions, actually, guests and recognizing guests and visiting officials? Madam Chair, Amber Crotty, good morning. Floor is yours.
Oh, yeah, hey, Speaker, colleagues, Chairman Henya, Shiaj for your prayer and reaffirming everything that is important to us as a people and our livelihood. Thank you, Shiaj. Speaker, I wanted to say that I'm trying to get on the Zoom to see who is participating to offer recognition. Can you let me know, is President Nez or Vice President Leiser on the line? If so, I'd like to recognize them for being on the line. And for our chapter officials who may be on the line, I think they were interested in terms of how we move forward in these discussions and how the gaming impacts the chapter. So thank you very much, Speaker, for the time. If I could just make sure if our President and Vice President are on the line, and if not, Speaker, if we can extend an invitation for them to be on the call. This compact appears and should be fully vetted through all leadership. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have sent that information out. I know that there's agency council meetings going on right now, both Eastern and in Central, and I'm not too sure, maybe they'll be on afterwards, but send that information to them. I think there's staff on from the Office of President, Vice President that are on the line too as well. That, colleagues, any other recognizing guests and visiting officials to the Navajo Nation at this time?
Mr. Speaker, this is Daniel.
Yes, Honorable
I'm on the line.
Daniels. Good morning.
Yes, thank you, Mr. I'm on the line. Thank you.
Okay. That, if there's no others, let's continue on down.
Eugene So, recognition.
Honorable Eugene So, go ahead.
I would like to share gratitude with all the veterans across the Navajo Nation and all our warriors deployed elsewhere around the world. To share it all parts of the area. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Eugene So. Colleagues, any other recognizing guests and visiting officials at this time? Going twice. Going 3 times. That, moving on down. We're going to adopt the agenda. I have Ms. Peggy Nakai here, who's going to be reading the agenda into the record. Ms. Nakai?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the Navajo Nation Council. This is the proposed agenda of the 24th Navajo Nation Council special session via telecommunications, Saturday, April 10, 2021, 10 a.m. Navajo Nation Council Chambers, Window Rock, Navajo Nation. Presiding is the Honorable Seth Damon, Speaker, 24th Navajo Nation Council. 1, call meeting to order. Roll call invocation. 2, recognize guests and visiting officials to the Navajo Nation. 3, review and adopt the agenda. 4, reports none. 5, old business none. 6, new business. A, legislation number 0064-21. An action relating to the Resources and Development and Navajo Committees and the Navajo Nation Council, approving and adopting Navajo Nation State of Arizona amended and restated gaming compact, parentheses, quote, 2021 Arizona Compact Amendments, end quote, in parentheses, related appendices, transfer pool agreements and memorandums of understanding with other tribal governments. Sponsor, Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton, co-sponsor Pernell Halona, Honorable Pernell Halona. 7, close of session announcements, adjournment. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nakai, for reading that into the record. That, colleagues, is there a motion on our agenda this morning?
Motion, Halona?
Motion by Honorable Halona. Second by Honorable Herman Daniel.
You think so?
Second, colleagues, is there any comments, questions? I got mixed up there. Is there any comments, questions on additions, deletions on today's agenda? There's a motion by Honorable Halona, second by Honorable Herman Daniels. I don't have anybody in the queue. No one has texted in. And twice. And 3 times. Good board. I'm accepting the agenda today.
Honorable Elmer Begay.
I vote green.
Honorable Elmer Begay votes green. Honorable Kealan Begay Jr.
Delegate Kealan Begay Jr. votes green.
Honorable Kealan Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Paul Begay Jr.
Delegate Paul Begay votes green.
Honorable Paul Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not vote. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton did not vote. Honorable Amber Knussbach Crotty.
Delegate Amber Knussbach Crotty votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Amber Knussbach Crotty votes green. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr.
Green.
Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. votes green. Honorable Herman Mark Freeland.
Green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Halona votes green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henio.
Union votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henio votes green. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater.
Green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. is excused. Honorable Otto So. Honorable Otto So. Honorable Otto So does not vote. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So did not vote. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not vote. Honorable Eugene So.
Okay, Joe, share.
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr.
Walker votes green.
Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. votes green. Honorable Edison Winica.
Green.
Honorable Edison Winica votes green. Honorable Evan Yazzie. Honorable Evan Yazzie. Honorable Evan Yazzie did not vote. Honorable Jimmy Elliher. Honorable Jimmy Elliher. Jimmy Elliher did not vote. Going back up. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown
votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Regina Charles Newton.
Charles Newton votes green.
Honorable Regina Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Otto So.
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So did not vote. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not vote. Honorable Evan Yazzie. Honorable Evan Yazzie. Honorable Evan Yazzie votes green. Honorable Jimmy Elliher. Honorable Jimmy Elliher. Honorable Jimmy Elliher did not vote. With that, Mr. Speaker, you have a vote of 19 in favor, 0 opposed, and 1 excused. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chavella. 19 in favor, 0 opposed. Speaker not voting, motion carries. And just for the record, Honorable Wilson Stewart is excused again. With that, we do have an agenda before us, colleagues. So let's go ahead and move on.
Speaker, this is Delegate Brown. Did you get my vote?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Yeah.
Green, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
we got it. With that, moving on down, we do have an approved agenda, colleagues. With the approved agenda, we can go on to item number 4, reports. There are none. 5, old business. There are none. 6, new business. Legislation 0064-21, sponsored by Madam Chair Charles Newton, co-sponsored by Honorable Halona, and I think it was co-sponsored by Honorable Chairman Henio too as well, right? And honorable co-sponsored by Honorable Otto So. That, Ms. Nakai, could you read the legislation into the record?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the Navajo Nation Council. This is the reading of legislation number 0064-21. It was assigned to Resources and Development Committee, thus, or thence, Nabikia Committee, thence Navajo Nation Council. It's a proposed Navajo Nation Council Resolution, 24th Navajo Nation Council, 3rd year, 2021, introduced by Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Co-sponsors are Honorable Pernell Halona, Honorable Jamie Henio, and Honorable Otto So. Tracking number 0064-21, an action relating to the Resources and Development and Nabikia Committees and the Navajo Nation Council, approving and adopting the Navajo Nation State of Arizona amended and restated gaming compact, parentheses, quote, 2021 Arizona Compact Amendments, end quote, in parentheses, related appendices, transfer pool agreements, and memoranda of understanding with other tribal governments. The legislation has been electronically read into the record. The Internet Public Review document for the first report has no comments. And then the Resources and Development Committee has a due pass with no amendments. The Nabikia Committee report has 1 amendment. And the amendment reads, Amendment 1 on page 3, line 23, insert the following sentence under section 2 findings at the end of the last sentence of paragraph F. The 2021 Arizona Gaming Compact, HB 2772, attached as Exhibit D, may be subject to amendment not inconsistent with the terms of the 2021 Arizona Gaming Compact amendments. 2, on page 4, line 5, insert a new paragraph H under section 2 findings after paragraph G that contains the following language. On April 3rd, 2021, the Nabikia Gaming Subcommittee voted to recommend that the Nabikia Committee approve the agreement to extend gaming device operating rights between the Navajo Nation and Gila River Indian Community, attached here to as Exhibit K. The Nabakia Gaming Subcommittee also voted to recommend that the confidential 2021 Arizona Compact Amendments approved by the Gaming Subcommittee on February 28, 2021, and set forth in Exhibits E and F be updated to modify Section 3H and Exhibit A to the 2021 Arizona Compact Amendments as requested by the Arizona Governor's Office. And that's all new language. 3, renumber or reletter succeeding paragraphs, sections, or exhibits accordingly if necessary. This amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment which shall be conformed to the intent or language of this amendment. The Office of Legislative Services, with notice to the sponsors of the legislation, is hereby authorized to make necessary grammatical changes. And that concludes the reading of legislation number 0064-21, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nakai. On legislation 0064-21, colleagues, this is final authority here at Navajo Nation Council. This legislation does get sent over to the president's office. And then from there, I think the compact would be signed, but then ultimately by the president too as well. Colleagues, on legislation 0064-21, as alluded earlier when I was speaking, we did have a Nabakia committee work session 2 days ago on this legislation. It was a special session at council, our Nabakia committee meeting yesterday. And this legislation is here before us today. So with that, colleagues, could I get a motion?
Delegate Nez.
Eugene So.
Rick Nez, second by Honorable Eugene So. Does Nabi work?
Nabi
works.
Went twice.
Speaker Damon, this is Delegate Crotty.
Yes, Madam Chair Cardi, with a question?
Yes, Speaker. So I'd like to be
But
added.
let me go to the sponsor first, Madam Chair. Cardi.
Yes, thank you.
Let me go to the sponsor. Madam Chair Charles Newton, you have 20 minutes on the board.
Thank you, Speaker. Can you hear me?
I can. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Oh, does my time start now, Speaker?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, colleagues. I come before you at this time as a sponsor of legislation 0064-21. In 2003, the Navajo Nation approved the first gaming compact with the state of Arizona. For several years, the Navajo Nation engaged in gaming through transfer pool agreements. Then in 2008, the Navajo Nation opened their first casino, which was the Fire Rock Casino. In July of 2019, 8 delegates were selected to sit on the gaming subcommittee. The gaming subcommittee, as was stated yesterday, was established to negotiate, quote, all related issues regarding the separate gaming compacts the Navajo Nation has with the state of Arizona and state of New Mexico to protect gaming, end quote. The gaming subcommittee voted me as the chair and also Delegate Jenny Yellowhair as vice chair. We met monthly as a subcommittee, inviting delegates to join us, and did occasionally have other delegates who join in the conversation and also the negotiations as well. We also coordinated and cooperated with the Office of the President and Vice President, the Attorney General's Office, Navajo Nation Gaming Enterprise, and its designees from other respected offices and entities, which included the Regulatory Office, the Gaming Board members, Lewis and Roca, and in some cases, we also had other delegates who were in attendance at these meetings. This compact, there are actually 21 tribes in the state of Arizona, and the gaming subcommittee did meet with 13 of these tribes regularly, and at one point we also met with 19 tribal leaders to negotiate this compact. Although Navajo did go into these negotiations wanting more for Navajo, It was a give and take. Obviously, that is the purpose of negotiations. Many times these meetings were led by Vice President Leiser, who we do appreciate his stepping in and taking charge of some of these meetings. At this time, I do have agents who are with me. I have the Department of Justice, Catherine Balzowski. I have Office of Legislative Counsel, Dana Barbroff, and I also have Louis and Roca, Steve Hart, and Francis Schoberg, who are on the line serving as agents at this time, Speaker. So I'd like to, at this time, turn it over to my agent, Catherine Balzowski, and then Dana Barbroff, and then Louis and Roca. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, let me go over to Ms. Blazowski. I'm going to have to press *6.
Three co-sponsors in the legislature.
Speaker, I don't know if Ms. Balzowski is having issues, but perhaps we can go ahead and move forward with Dana, who may want to add some remarks, and then Louis and Roca, we can come back to Ms. Balzowski.
Okay. Ms. Barbara, have anything to add?
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Council. I think there was some confusion. As Chief Legislative Counsel, I can't act as an agent for any legislation, but I am here as an advisor, as a legal advisor, and can certainly provide counsel with recommendations and assistance if they have any changes. But do note that the legislation was drafted by this office, and our office deemed it to be legally sufficient as drafted. Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Louis and Roca.
Thank you, Ms. Barbara. For that, we go to anyone from Louis and Roca or.
No. Mr. Speaker, this is Stephen Hart. Thank you. I just have a brief statement to make at this point, and that is that I wanted to just go through some of the critical reasons why it makes sense to support this compact. The first is that the revenue sharing rate will be reduced immediately upon the effective date of the compact, and that this means that the nation will save more than $500,000 per year. It's a significant reduction. The second thing is that the transfer pool agreement extensions will generate significant revenue for the Navajo Nation. Projected revenue from 2026 through 2048, that's the anticipated time for this compact, will be between $8 million and $12 million per year, and will total $220 million. New games are also authorized by the 2021 compact, and it's estimated that they will provide $5.8 million per year in revenue. We'll have development of a new gaming facility, and that's expected to generate $8.5 million a year. Extended duration gives assurance to the Navajo Nation that it can continue to profit from its investments for at least the next 25 to 27 years. Extended exclusivity shields Navajo from competition by commercial operators who frankly are eager to displace tribal gaming. Streamlined regulation enables the NNGRO, our regulatory body, and the NNGE, our operational body, to create efficiencies in compact compliance and reporting, which will have a very positive bottom line impact. Changes to certification and licensing procedures will make it easier for Navajo vendors to sell their products to the NNGE. Future economic development opportunities mean more revenue for the Navajo Nation and more jobs for the Navajo people. Expanded scope of gaming and mobile sports betting will attract new players and generate more revenue from outside of the Navajo Nation. These are the reasons why we feel, 10 reasons here that we feel that this compact is ready to go and it is appropriately beneficial to the nation to approve. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. With that, Madam Chair Charles Newton, does that conclude your presentation?
Speaker,
Yes.
at this time, I would also like to add that that the state and the tribes are currently moving forward with this compact. I can't share any information aside from just what I stated, and also that the if this compact is signed, that the transfer pool agreement will be extended if the Navajo Nation does sign this compact. And as you know, the transfer pool agreement doesn't require us to actually have a gaming facility. It's the leasing of the machines that the Navajo Nation does own. So I do want to make that clarification. I also want to state that any changes to the compact at this point will push Navajo back and possibly kill the compact for Navajo. And so the gaming subcommittee has felt comfortable throughout the negotiation process. We did take several votes on how to proceed forward, keeping in mind that we were working with other tribes during this time. And again, as much as Navajo wanted more from this compact, it was a give and take, and we did our best to negotiate. So at this time, we do have the compact as we have negotiated, as we were charged to do. That is before you, and we are asking for your favorable vote with this
Question and privilege, Delegate Carney.
With that, Speaker, I conclude my presentation.
Thank you. With that, Madam Chair Amber Carty, question of privilege.
Thank you, Speaker. If I could ask Legislative Council, I'm looking at the NABI Resolution JY-37-19. Can you let me know on what page and in what paragraph it authorizes the gaming subcommittee to finalize a compact, the gaming compact on behalf of Navajo? Thank you.
Point of privilege, Speaker.
Let me go to Ms. Barbara, but before I go to Ms. Barbara, point of privilege, Madam Chair Charles Newton.
Speaker, the gaming subcommittee actually renegotiated the compact. I don't think that I said that we are authorizing the compact. That's why we're bringing it before NABI and Council. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you for clarity. Ms. Barbara, was a point of privilege directed.
Thank you, Speaker. So NABI JY-37-19, I sent that out yesterday. That is the resolution, the NABI resolution that established the gaming subcommittee. And Section 3A states that the NABI Kiete Gaming the Navikiete Committee hereby establishes the Navikiete Committee's Gaming Subcommittee to negotiate all related issues regarding the separate gaming compacts the Navajo Nation has with the state of Arizona and the state of New Mexico, respectively, and to address related issues to protect Navajo gaming. And then you have section B4, paragraph B4, which states that, says that after the gaming subcommittee has negotiated, then they are to submit to the Navikiete Committee for review and approval any and all proposed amendments and or compacts which are the result of such negotiations. So under this structure, the gaming subcommittee was to negotiate and then bring the result of their negotiations to NABI for review and approval. Thank you, Speaker.
Question of privilege, Delegate Crotty.
Question of privilege, Madam Chair, Amber Crotty.
Thank you, Speaker. This is to our Legislative Council. Could you let me know what that means when this compact is being moved forward by the state and other tribes? So is the negotiation period over? And now it's, I need to clarify where Navajo Nation is in terms of this compact. And the second question is, we're always asked not to add amendments to legislations. So I need clarification in the process to provide an amendment to the compact. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Amber Crotty, I guess going back to your first question, let me go to Ms. Barbroff, and then on to the second question about amendments. If Ms. Barbroff can't answer that, I'll go back to the sponsor.
And thank you, Speaker. Actually, on the status of the negotiation period, I am going to refer that to Ms. Belowski on that. As far as making amendments, I want to be clear that amendments to exhibits, which is what the compact is, it's exhibits, amendments can be made to exhibits, but when you are talking about a negotiated agreement, what that does is it changes what has been negotiated, so you no longer have a negotiated agreement. So making an amendment to the compact at this point in time, while the Navajo Nation can approve those amendments, they will have to go back to the other party for approval before they can become effective. So essentially, making amendments, you no longer have a agreement. Thank you, Speaker. And then I defer to Ms. Belowski on the first question, and also anything she wants to add on my second question.
Thank you.
Second response.
Thank you, Ms. Barbara. That, Ms. Belowski, you're on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Speaker. I'm here. Thank you. In regards to the first question, or second, not quite sure which number it was, but where I think for Delegate Crotty on where we are in the process is that At this time, the compact has been negotiated by the parties. And so, as Ms. Barbaroff stated, it's a document that has been agreed upon between the nation and the state at this time, or in the nation being the gaming subcommittee, right? And so both parties are in agreement with all the terms. And as Ms. Barbaroff stated, if the council would like to change any of those terms, it would basically be rejecting the current compact that we have before us, and we would have to go back and renegotiate with the state. So, we're in the process of right now just approving the compact as negotiated by the gaming subcommittee before us. And any further negotiations would basically restart the process again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That back to the sponsor, Madam Chair Charles Newton. Anything else to add on?
Yes, Speaker. I think the concern is the authority coming out of NABIJY-37-19, which did come before Navajo on July 11th, 2019. I think if there were any questions regarding the authority bestowed upon the gaming subcommittee, it should have come at that time on July 11th, 2019. There is a record of all of the delegates who did vote for that legislation. I don't believe there were any questions regarding the task that gaming subcommittee was given at that time, nor were there any objections to the legislation. So I do want to point out that this is a separate legislation that did give the gaming subcommittee the task of going out to negotiate the compact, which we did, and we are currently presenting that before council at this time to ask for their vote. Any delegate has the right to vote against the legislation, or any delegate does have the right to amend the legislation. But I think when we're talking in terms of the compact, it's a little bit different. And so I just want to make it clear again that the authority was given to the gaming subcommittee to move forward and negotiate this compact, working in conjunction with the Office of the President and Vice President, also working with the Attorney General's Office, Navajo Nation Gaming Enterprises, and designees from other respected offices, which, as I stated in my introduction, included the Regulatory Office, the gaming board members, and Lewis and Roca, as well as other delegates who did take part in the discussions during that time that we were negotiating the compact, Speaker. I would also like to ask, Speaker, or I would also like to point out that we did have about 3 delegates who did come to the gaming subcommittee to ask questions about where we were at with the negotiations, and we did share that information with them. Speaker, I don't know if any other delegates did go to you to ask where the compact was at and where the negotiations were at, but I can say that we did have 3 delegates who did join the gaming subcommittee, and also on a separate issue reached out to me to ask me where we were at with the gaming negotiations, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, let me go back. We were getting into the questions on the floor. I know the Madam Chair, Charles Newton, is closing out her presentation. Did I hear somebody?
Yeah, question of privilege, Delegate Crotty.
Question of privilege, Madam Chair, Amber Crotty.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. So I'd like to ask Legislative Council on that NABI Resolution 37-19, where if there's language where delegates have to reach out to the subcommittee. It's my understanding on paragraph 3 and 4, it's in fact the subcommittee that needs to reach out to the standing committees, other boards. Thank you.
Okay, with that, let me go back to Ms. Barbara.
Point of privilege, Speaker.
Well, Madam Chair Amber Crotty, before I go to Ms. Barbara for your point of privilege, let me go back to Madam Chair Charles Newton. Madam Chair Charles Newton, what's your point of privilege?
Speaker, my point is, I believe we have legislation 0064-21 before us. NABIJY-37-19 is not the legislation that is currently before us. In fact, that legislation came before us July 11th, 2019. And the record does indicate that Delegate Crotty was not at that, did not vote on that legislation, Speaker. So I don't understand why we are bringing up NABIJY-37-19 when we are debating a separate legislation. Thank you.
Thank you for that suggestion and clarity. Let me go back to now Ms. Barbara on the point of privilege stated by Madam Chair Amber Crotty.
Thank you, Speaker. So Section 3 of NABI JY-37-19, Section 3B3 states that the gaming subcommittee is to transfer information and recommendations to the Speaker of the Navajo Nation Council, the Nabi Kiete Committee, appropriate Navajo Nation standing committees, and appropriate legislative branch boards, commissions, agencies, and programs. It does not state a process or a time for when that information and recommendations are to be transferred. There were, if you look at the appointments, I do believe that there is a member from each standing committee appointed on the subcommittee. And as I think the goal is for subcommittees, the delegate representative on that subcommittee is generally in charge of reporting back to their oversight committee. So I hope that provides some clarity. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Let me go back to Madam Chair Charles Newton, where you can, I have 11 minutes and 21 seconds on the board for you and your presentation. I'll go back to you, Madam Chair, to finish your presentation to the council.
Thank you, Speaker. And also, colleagues, as I stated already, NABIJY 37-19 did come before this committee on July 11th, 2019. And it was at that time that questions should have arose regarding this legislation and exactly what it means. As Ms. Bobroff stated yesterday, when writing legislations, sometimes there are things that are left out and specific requirements that are not thought of at that time. And so at this time, I can say that we were in constant communication with the Speaker regarding the negotiation of the compact. We also had the boards who were present during the negotiation of the compact and delegates who represented their standing committees who were also part of the negotiation process. I do want to point out that, as any delegate is aware, communication is a two-way street. So at any time, delegates do have the opportunity and they do have the right to reach out to other delegates to talk about the work that they are doing. And at this time, we did have 3 delegates who did reach out during the entire negotiation process to ask us where we were at. In addition to that, colleagues, I do know that during the year of 2020, other tribes were working on the compact while Navajo focused on the pandemic. We didn't have very much meetings in 2020 because our focus was trying to assist the people. Navajo doesn't have the authority to stop other tribes from conducting their business. And I wasn't aware, nor did I think to ask the other tribes if they were continuing the discussions regarding the compact. Again, that was a fault on my part. I should have reached out to all of the tribal leaders, the 21 tribal leaders in Arizona, asking if they were continuing their work on the compact during 2020. However, again, my focus was assisting my colleagues and also the Navajo Nation with what was happening on the nation with the pandemic. So with that, committee members, again, this compact is what the gaming subcommittee has been engaged in since 2019. The discussions, the negotiations, the meetings, everything that has led up to what you see before you today. And again, I wish that everything that Navajo was asking for, I wish that we could get it. However, there were other tribes that were involved in this process, and I feel that we negotiated the best that we can, keeping in mind that all tribes are affected by this compact. So with that, Speaker, my presentation is concluded. Thank you.
Thank you very much, I'm Chair Charles Newton. With that, colleagues, you do have legislation. If you're just joining us, we are on legislation 0064-21. Today's we're having Navajo Nation Council special session specifically on this legislation. It's the only item on our agenda. Madam Chair Charles Newton has just now concluded in her presentation on the legislation, so I'm going to the floor now. We do have a motion by Honorable Chairman Rick Nez, second by Honorable Eugene So. So with that, let me go to the floor. Madam Chair Amber Crotty, floor is yours.
Thank you, Speaker, colleagues, everyone on the line. I appreciate the conversation. Speaker, I wanted to know if you were able to get a hold of President Nez or Vice President Leiser. I did have questions that I asked at Nabikiatian that were not answered. I still have concerns regarding how we're moving forward with this negotiation, who has the authority to move forward with it when there's still outstanding issues that have really have not had an opportunity, or at this point, any evidence that there was any type of remedy. I'd like to have that question answered, and so I'll reserve my time. Thank you, Speaker.
That, Madam Chair Amber Crotty. The main motion, 4 minutes and 17 seconds. That, I don't have anybody else on the board. Let me go back to the sponsor for response. Madam Chair Charles Newton.
Thank you, Speaker. I don't really have a response to that. I think,
Speaker.
Yes.
Speaker, yesterday the delegate couldn't answer my question, so I'm asking if we were able to get President Nez or Vice President Leiser on the line. Thank you.
As indicated earlier, Madam Chair Amber Crotty, I have received information through the staff here that President Nez and Vice President Leiser are presenting at the agency council meetings at this time. So we have reached out to them, but unfortunately they are doing a presentation as we speak. That. Any other comments, questions, colleagues? There's none. Let me go back to reserve time. Madam Chair Amber Crotty, 4 minutes, 17 seconds.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. So I did ask via email, what is the process to make an amendment to confidential documents? I did not receive the amendment that was passed at NABI. I did not receive those updated documents or clarification. If I could get that provided to me, and what would be the process when we're dealing with confidential documents. Thank you, Speaker, and I'll reserve my time.
Reserve your time at 3 minutes, 56 seconds. The question that I have right now, I guess, going back to either Ms. Bilowski or Ms. Barbara. Madam Chair, Amber Cardi, I have a question to you first before I go. Did you say you sent an email to one of the, or to somebody, and we're waiting for a response through email?
Thank you, Speaker. Yes, I did respond to the amendments that were proposed yesterday at Nabakiatian, that Amendment 1 that made changes. And I did ask for guidance on how to make amendments to the confidential exhibits. And I did ask for the page numbers for those amendments that were passed yesterday. I have not received that information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, hold on. I did get a response from Ms. Barbroff. I apologize. It was at 10:40 this morning, and she requested that it would be made in executive session for discussion.
Okay.
Speaker, this is Dana. I want to clarify.
Go ahead, Ms. Barbroff.
Thank you. What I said is that most likely it'll depend on the amendments, but depending on the amendment, it might be able to be done in regular session, except if there needs to be a discussion about it. That will probably need to be moved into executive session. I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barbroff, for that response. With that, let me go back then to the floor. Any other comments, questions for the sponsor or the legislation 0064-21?
Call for the question.
Huh?
Call for the question.
That, Honorable Eugene, so I have Madam Chair Amber Crotty, so I'm gonna go back. She has reserved time. Madam Chair Amber Crotty, 3 minutes, 56 seconds.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. And so if I may ask the sponsor, how many delegates have been provided an overview of the compact? The subcommittee, I believe, possibly 7, and you mentioned possibly 3 more delegates. What's the number of delegates that have reviewed the compact, noting that Amendment 1 recently made additional modifications to the compact? Thank you, Speaker, and I'll reserve my time.
Speakers, Vice Chair Smith, put me in the queue.
That, Vice Chair Smith, put you in the queue. We'll go back to Madam Chair Charles Newton as a sponsor for that question. Madam Chair, floor is yours.
Thank you, Speaker. So to the question posed by Delegate Crotty, I guess my answer would be I really don't know how many of the delegates have reviewed the compact. As we all know, we do receive documents. It is really up to us individually to read the documents or to get caught up on them. So you would probably have to ask each delegate individually if they did review the compact and if they did read it. I can't answer that question. However, I can say that the 8 gaming subcommittee members, in addition to the 3 delegates who did join us at several at different times, were provided information regarding the compact. I don't know if they actually received the final version of the compact, only because the final version was sent to us not too long ago. And I believe that that was forwarded, if I'm not mistaken, it was forwarded to Dana, I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I think it was forwarded to Office of Legislative Counsel, but I know that there was back and forth conversations about this because they were trying to send it out or something. I'm not really sure what's going on, but I'll have Dana answer that. As far as when it was presented, we did have NABI work session on Thursday. We also had NABI yesterday. Both days I did offer several times to go into executive session. And I believe that the Lewis and Roca did say we can go line by line on the compact, but there was no delegate who made a motion to go into executive session to go line by line on the compact. However, the opportunity was there and no delegate acted on it. Thank you. Speaker, can you still hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, just talking with staff. So thank you very much, Madam Chair Charlton, for that explanation. And let me go back to the floor. I do have now two of our colleagues who have lined themselves up in the queue. I have Vice Chair Smith, and then Honorable Eugene So. Vice Chair Smith, floor is yours on the main motion, legislation 0064-21.
Thank you, Speaker, and Navajo Nation Council of the 24th Council and staff that are on board with us, and our Legislative Council, and those that are DOJ and Lewis and Roca, and those that are listening on this compact issue. Speaker, my question is to Lewis and Roca. Is this non-negotiable now? Is this what we got to run with in order to get the compact? I mean, could this be taken back and renegotiated if there's some concerns and issues? Or is it just all wrapped up now and now it's in the hands of Navajo Nation Council to take it as it is? That's my question, Speaker, and I reserve the rest of my time.
Thank you, Vice Chair Smith. With that, reserve your time of 4 minutes, 5 seconds. Madam Chair Charles Newton, you and your agent would like to respond to Vice Chair Smith's question at this time. The floor is open to you.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm going to go ahead and call upon Lewis and Roca at this time, who may be best answering that question. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker and Vice Chair Raymond Smith, this is Stephen Hart. The compact has been negotiated extensively, largely, if not entirely at this point, through the gaming subcommittee. And the governor's office believes that this compact is now in final form, and they are looking for approval of the compact, a signature on the compact at this point. And of course, the other tribes are doing the same thing. I understand that 13 tribes have sent in signed copies now, and there's 3 more coming shortly. That's where we are in the process. Thank you very much.
Thank you. For that response, Mr. Hart and Madam Chair Charles Newton. Let me go on back down to the queue. I have Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So, the floor is yours.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh.
In regards to what we're discussing here now, which we did all past 2 days already. and to the establishing the team to negotiate the compact. We did already make those rules and laws. Now we're going back to it. That's how I see this whole situation. There are, yes, a lot of issues and concerns in regards to this legislation, like all the way through from federal, state, and to Navajo Nation. A lot of things need to be re-amended and revised, revisited, and re-amended in regards to what we're discussing now. And these are some of the reasons why I always ask there has to be one committee within the Navajo Nation Council, not oversights and other subcommittees, etc. That really confuses because they only have the authority to for just certain things, and other council delegates don't hear, and that's why we miss out on some of the languages. So for now, right now, only thing we can do now is to vote on it because we're getting behind and we need to revisit. Pretty sure there will be another compact coming up. Get ready for that one. So any speaker, so that's why I was trying to call for the question.
Thank you very much, Honorable Eugene. So, Pat, moving on down. I don't have any more individuals in the queue, so I'm going to go back to reserve time. Madam Chair, Amber Cardi, 3 minutes and 23 seconds.
Thank you, Speaker. So I think in terms of the timeline, I'm looking at with the amendments added yesterday. The subcommittee took action 7 days ago, last Saturday, on a document that, for my records, I want to say was submitted maybe 4 days ago for myself as a delegate. I can only speak for myself without knowing what was the plan for complete transparency and engagement when it comes to this Arizona Compact. When I open up my document, my confidential document, it's 599 pages. I think in terms of the time and how this is moving forward, I am concerned that there was not a broader conversation. And those conversations can take place in what we normally get on meetings, executive meetings that go over and deal and talk with the compact, talk with the challenges. And I think that's important that at this time, we can't discuss a lot of these issues publicly, but yet there's really no remedy for Navajo Nation at this time. What I'm hearing is if we make an amendment and quote, it kills the compact. And that's why I keep going back to that resolution and to that legislative language, because there is responsibilities from the subcommittee to transmit that information to Nabakiachen as a subcommittee. Also, I want to, and I'm concerned on this 599-page document, where was that information that went through that document? I'm not sure exactly then if our only option here is to vote yes or no. I think Navajo Nation leadership has not learned from our former mistakes and mishaps. We've done this when it comes to water rights. We've done this with power plant negotiations, and we should never put the council in the corner to have to act on something hastily without really understanding, because even today, there is not correct information that is being provided. And so I'm concerned with the overall comprehension of the compact. And I'll reserve the rest of my time. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, Amber Cardi. That 41 seconds in the reserve time. Moving on down. Vice Chair Smith, 4 minutes and 5 seconds. On reserve time.
Well, thank you, Speaker. I'll reserve my time.
4 minutes and 3 seconds. Moving on down. Anybody else in queue? I have no one else in the queue. No one's texted in. It's a beautiful day here in Winter Rock, just for the record. There's no one. Go back to reserve time. Madam Chair Amber Crotty, 41 seconds.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to review an amendment, a proposed amendment to the compact. Thank you, Speaker.
Madam Chair Amber Crotty, 2 questions. My first question is that amendment drafted already and it's ready for discussion, or is it something that we're gonna just talk about? And then the second one is time frame.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. I could draft up the amendment. It should be a few sentences, and I would say we would need maybe an hour and a half, possibly, to discuss, or sooner. Thank you, Speaker.
Wait, an hour and a half then. That time now is 11:29. So motion to go into executive session. And this is with the Navajo Nation Council, Ms. Blazowski and Ms. Barbara, and is the agents involved, Madam Chair, or is it just DOJ and Office of Legislative Counsel?
Speaker Damon, I think I'll defer to Ms. Barbara, but my assumption is it's Navajo DOJ and Legislative Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. I would recommend Legislative Council and DOJ with the agents standing by. That's my recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That is a motion by Madam Chair Amber Crotty to go into executive session for no more than an hour and a half on a possible amendment. Is there a second? Once.
Second by Vice Chair Smith.
Vice Chair Smith. That, colleagues, any comments, questions on the motion? Time now is 11:31. So we would come back in at 1:01. Went twice. Or 3 times. Go to board. Motion to go into executive session.
Honorable Almer Begay. Honorable Almer Begay. Honorable Almer Begay did not vote. Honorable Kealan Begay Jr.
Elke Kealan votes red.
Honorable Kealan Begay Jr. votes red. Honorable Paul Begay Jr.
Delegate Paul Begay votes red.
Honorable Paul Begay Jr. votes red. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton.
Charles Newton votes red.
Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton votes red. Honorable Amber Kness-Crotty.
Delegate Amber Kness-Crotty votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Amber Kness-Crotty votes green. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr.
I vote red.
Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. votes red. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Halona votes red.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes red. Honorable Jamie Henyo.
No, Henyo votes red.
Honorable Jamie Henyo. Honorable Jamie Henyo votes red. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James votes red.
Honorable Vince James votes red. Honorable Ricky Ness.
Delegate Rick Nez votes red.
Honorable Ricky Ness votes red. Honorable Carl Slater.
Green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Otto So. Honorable Otto So. Honorable Otto So did not vote. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. is excused. Honorable Charlene So.
I vote red. Otto So votes red.
Honorable Otto So votes red. Honorable Charlene So.
I vote green.
Honorable Charlene So votes green. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not vote. Honorable Eugene So.
Oh,
Honorable Eugene So votes red. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. did not vote. Honorable Edison Winika. Honorable Edison
Winika votes red. Red.
Honorable Edison Winika votes red. Honorable Edmund Yazzie.
Red.
Edmund Yazzie. Honorable Edmund Yazzie votes red. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair did not vote. Going back up. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Elmer Begay via text votes red. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not vote. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr.
I vote red.
Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. votes red. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
Delegate Yellowhair votes red.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes red. With that, Mr. Speaker, you have a vote of 6 in favor, 15 opposed, and 1 excused. Mr. Speaker?
Then Dean, you mentioned the water project.
Okay, with that, colleagues, motion to go into executive session, 6 in favor, 15 opposed. Speaker not voting, motion fails. That, back to the main motion. Okay, with that, colleagues, did you hear me on that, on the motion? Let me just restate it. On the executive session vote to go into executive session, vote was 16 in favor, 50 opposed, speaker not voting, motion fails. So we're back at the main motion right now. I don't have anybody else in the queue, so let me go back to reserve time. Vice Chair Smith, 4 minutes and 3 seconds.
Thank you, Speaker and Navajo Nation Council. I think we talked to this lengthily, and it was just the question on the confidential regarding the compact. However, that was not put into executive session, so it's a lot of questions on behalf of that in regards to the amendment that was going to be proposed. With that, Navajo Nation Council, I'll go ahead and turn my time over to Honorable Karate. Thank you.
That, turning time over to Madam Chair Amber Crotty, 3 minutes and 27 seconds. Madam Chair, you accept?
Yes, Speaker, I accept.
Okay, Madam Chair, floor is yours.
Thank you, Speaker, colleagues, Vice Chair Smith for yielding the time. I think in terms of the documents, this is a learning lesson that as information is provided to the council, whether authority and really it's the Navajo Nation Council, that's the governing body. Title II authorizes and designates power and authority to the oversight. And I agree with Delegate Eugene So in stating that 24 delegates should be provided the same information, especially as this information moves forward, so that we can have conversations with our constituents, answer questions, enhance the legislation, and also foresee if there's any possible remedies. And I always believe that there is time for discussion. We may not always agree on the approach, but I am never intimidated by the states. And Navajo Nation status is higher than the state. And I firmly believe that the state should not have language or that there's language in there that's vague enough where they know that there's a possibility of waiving. And it's hard to talk about it in public because every time we talk about it and when there's an answer from a delegate or their position, that strengthens, that could be possibly strengthening that conversation. And so if we have a 599-page confidential document, the only time we could have these real discussions are in executive session. And so, Speaker, with that, I'm not sure, and in thinking of the rules of the council, when time is yielded, am I able to make an amendment with yielded time? If I could get that clarification, Speaker, you'd have to do it during my time because I'm not sure if I could pause or if that's a question of privilege I could ask. I do have an amendment that's been vetted by legislative council that's tweaked so that it could be offered in a public setting. Thank you, Speaker.
Madam Chair, Member Cardi, just for clarity, unfortunately, you're unable to take any action on a lot of time.
How much more time do I have on yielded time, Speaker?
27 seconds.
Okay, Speaker. Well, I'm just gonna, well, what we do have, colleagues, in understanding our limitations and not going to executive session, when we go back, we do have amendment language. If staff can send that out to my colleagues so that, and to the sponsors, so they have that information as we ramp up, and I'll use that time with my reserve time. Thank you very much, Speaker. And my colleagues, this is important, and this gaming compact is not set to expire for 5 more years. And so I think we need to use this time to continue to protect the nation and not paint ourselves into the corner. Thank you.
Time. Right on that. Thank you. That let me go back to, I don't have any questions that are posed to the sponsor. I don't have anybody in the queue. And I don't have anybody with reserved time besides yourself, Madam Chair, Member Crowdy. So I'm going to go back to you at this time. You have 41 seconds. I mean, 31 seconds. Sorry.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd like to propose the amendment 1. If I could have staff read that into the record, and I'll reserve my time. Thank you.
Okay. Reserve your time at 28 seconds. We're getting that amendment. It's walking across the street or walking across the parking lot, colleagues. There it is. It's coming in now. Yes. Can we put it on the screen on Zoom? That, Ms. Naka, if you could read Amendment 1 that's posed by Madam Chair Amber Crotty.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the Navajo Nation Council. Amendment 1. Read it now with you scrolling on it. 1, on page 4, line 5, insert the following new paragraph, and this is new language. H, as stated in the dispute resolution, section 15 of the 2021 Arizona Compact Amendments attached in red line as Exhibit E and in final form as Exhibit F. Quote, nothing in section 15C shall be interpreted as a waiver of the state's 10th Amendment or 11th Amendment immunity or as a waiver of the tribe's sovereign immunity, end quote. 2, renumber or reletter succeeding paragraphs, sections, or exhibits accordingly if necessary. This amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in this legislation, and any proposed amendment thereto shall be conformed to the intent or language of this amendment. The Office of Legislative Services, with notice to the sponsors of the legislation, is hereby authorized to make necessary grammatical changes. Mr. Speaker.
Second, Delegate Slater.
With this, colleagues, there's a motion by Madam Chair Amber Crotty, a second by Honorable Carl Slater on Amendment number 1. That, colleagues, any comments, questions on Amendment number 1? Or twice.
Speaker.
Honorable Vice Chair Smith, go ahead.
Thank you, Speaker. On the amendment, if this should pass, what are the benefits on the Navajo Nation, or either the gaming, or either the Arizona on the compact? What is going to entail on this if that does become an amendment to this Amendment 1 on behalf of the legislation 0064-21? We'll reserve my time. Thank you.
.4:30. Thank you, Vice Chair Smith. 4 minutes, 31 seconds. Reserve time, and I think the question would go to the sponsor. And then from the sponsor, I'll go to Ms. Barbara.
Thank you, Speaker. I would probably have to defer this question to Department of Justice.
Madam Chair, Charles, talking about the sponsor of the Amendment 1, Madam Chair Amber Crotty.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Then I'll go to Ms. Barbara.
Thank you, Speaker. Sorry, go ahead. Speaker Damon, thank you. I think in terms of Delegate Smith's question and not being in executive session, if I could defer to Ms. Barbara just to help guide the conversation on what can be provided. That would be helpful. I'm still not all the way through the compacts, the 599 pages. So I'll have to defer to Ms. Barbara. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Crotty and Speaker and Vice Chair Smith. The benefit to the nation has to do with if there are any disputes under the compact. If you'll note that this reflects, actually quotes some language that is in the compact, and it reinforces the nation's position that the compact is not a waiver of the nation's sovereign immunity. And the benefit will be if there are any dispute to the nation, the benefit to the nation will be if there are any disputes. It will be good language to reflect back on. Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Vice Chair Smith and Madam Crotty.
Thank you. That, moving on down, Honorable Freeland on Amendment 1.
Speaker, I have a question related to the 2015 compacts with New Mexico. And I don't know if anyone knows the answer to this question, but do we waive our sovereignty to the state of New Mexico? Reserve my time. Thank you.
Speaker Daniel So is
447.
on the call.
Good afternoon, or good morning, good midday, Chairman Daniel. So, that any response to Ms. Zalowski or Ms. Barbara to Honorable Freeland's question?
Speaker, this is Ms. Bobroff. I can't answer that question at this point in time. I have not tracked down a copy of that 2015 compact, so I'll defer to DOJ if they have any info.
Thank you, Ms. Barbara. I also have not been able to access a copy of the compact since yesterday's session, so I'm not able to answer that question at this time either.
Thank you. That, moving on down. I don't have anybody else in the queue on Amendment number 1.
Eugene So.
Honorable Eugene So, go ahead.
Questions. Regards to the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, 25 U.S.C. subsection 2710. Within there, that the tribal state gaming compact, would it interfere with this amendment? Would it conflict, or would it make it out of order, or would it? The reason why I'm asking, because I have a economic security, state economic security office in Chinle. There's some situation in regards to the legislation. Regards to the language. That's why we haven't got renew their business on Chinle yet from the state level. Reserve my time.
Reserve your time at 4 minutes, 13 seconds. Eugene So. Any Ms. Bilowski or Ms. Barbara would like to take that question? Could you hear me? Ms. Polowski or Ms. Barbara, if you want to.
I apologize, Speaker. This is Dana. I just gave a beautiful response while I was muted. Very quickly, it is my legal position that the proposed amendments will not interfere with the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, and I do not see how it could create the same type of situation that Delegate So is facing with economic security in Chinle. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Ms. Barbara. Okay, with that, any other comments, questions? And let me go back to reserve time. Honorable Vice Chair Smith, 4 minutes, 31 seconds.
Thank you, Speaker and Navajo Nation 24th Council. This amendment here brings the question on behalf of the negotiation that was mentioned earlier, and the negotiations already set in place, and this is going forth as is negotiated by the state of Arizona and the Navajo Nation. So if this amendment does pass or does not pass, will that affect the negotiation? And will that have to be a 16 vote if we do pass this amendment? Is it going to be simple majority, or is it just going to be on the main motion? Will that be a simple majority? Speaker,
are we still on tomorrow?
I reserve my time.
Thank you. 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Let me go back to Ms. Barbara.
Thank you,
or Ms.
Speaker.
Polowski, whichever one. But it seems like you're ready to go, Ms. Barbara. Sorry.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Vice Chair Smith. This amendment quotes language that is in the compact, and so it should not it's not amending anything, it's just pulling out and emphasizing language that is in the compact, emphasizing that this is the Navajo Nation's understanding. That's why it is in the findings section. It's not an amendment to any of the exhibits, so I don't believe it should affect negotiations. And as far as needing a 16 vote, no, this does not create a higher vote requirement. A higher vote requirement is when the Navajo Nation is waiving its sovereign immunity. And this amendment is emphasizing that the Navajo Nation is not waiving its sovereign immunity. Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Okay, with that, let me go back to reserve time. Honorable Freeland, 4 minutes, 47 seconds. Honorable Freeland, going twice.
Speaker, Freeland, sorry. I was asking if there was a way to get an answer to my initial question. Thank you. Reserve my time.
441.
For what?
441.
441. Honorable Freeland, we're having staff on legislative council or services trying to search up that legislation as we speak. So as soon as we get something, I don't know if Ms. Barbroff's team or Ms. Bolowski's looking that up too from DOJ.
Speaker,
Yes.
this is Dana. I believe that I'm taking a guess that former Chief Legislative Counsel Ray Essity is on the line, and he may be able, if you would allow it or delegates would allow it, he can probably speak. I think he can speak to the 2015 New Mexico Compact. As you are aware, Ray is, I'm not sure the exact title, but he is, I think he is Chief Counsel, in-house counsel for the gaming enterprise. Thank you, Speaker. Just a suggestion.
Okay. Honorable Freeland, are you okay with that?
(10-4), Speaker. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Ed City, are you there?
He's not using audio.
So Ed City going twice. So Ed City going 3 times. Moving on. Honorable Eugene So, 4 minutes, 13 seconds on reserve time.
Chiche, so this, I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to get away from my nation here with sovereignty. So, Dana was saying, inside the Navajo Nation do not waive its sovereign immunity. In regards to that, did Indian the case between the California and Cambanza Indian, in there, does it say that the state has no regulatory, the state do not have a jurisdiction to regulate gaming on a tribe's Indian land? Which one is that described in? Is it in the case, or is it in the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act? I believe that's one of the that we heard that 2 days ago during the work session, and so why do we discuss the sovereign immunity if we don't have to waive it? Because if it is within that Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, that states don't have to waive their sovereign immunity. That's our question. Only thing is, I just want to know if it's going to conflict with legislation, the Arizona Compact that's going forward. That's my trying to figure that out. If you can answer that question for me. If it's not, no, it'll be all right. Thank you.
On Eugene So. Like to sponsor, Madam Chair. Roddy?
Thank you, Speaker, colleagues, Delegate So, for your question. I think in terms, and I do believe that you did ask the question during the work, and I think it was executive session, and it was deemed that that would be answered during the public discussion. So I'll defer to Legislative Council how to proceed with that answer. Thank you.
Barbara.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, delegates. So just for a quick recap, and I don't have notes in front of me, so I'm going to do this off of the top of my head. In 1987, there was a case with a court case, Camazon Band of Mission Indians, and in that case, it was determined that the state, a state does not have the authority to regulate gaming on Indian land, but the federal government does. And as I said, that case was, I think, in 1987. The following year, the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, which is a federal act, was adopted by the United States Congress. In that, it's called IGRA, I-G-R-A. In that, it required that if a tribe wanted to pursue Class 3 gaming, which is like slot machines, blackjack, poker, that type, that they had to enter a compact with the state. To the best of my knowledge, the IGRA does not speak directly whether a compact is required or not required to waive tribal sovereign immunity. That is a negotiation between the state and the tribe. In this compact negotiation and the proposed amendments, there is, the purpose for this amendment is just to clarify and emphasize that in the compact, the Navajo Nation sovereign immunity is not being waived. And the goal of this amendment is just to emphasize that. And no, it should not interfere with the compact being approved or executed by the state because it does not change language in the compact. It just emphasizes the Navajo Nation's position. I hope that was helpful. Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Delegate So.
Thank you. That moving on down. Vice Chair Smith, unreserved time, 3 minutes, 45 seconds.
Thank you, Speaker and the Navajo Nation Council of the 24th Council. Thank you for letting me questions that I was going to ask are answered by our council. We're leading what there has my question. So I will my time, Speaker. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Smith, 3 minutes, 13 seconds. Reserve time. That, moving on down.
Speaker, this is Vice Chair Smith. I waived my time. I'm not reserving my time. I got my questions answered.
Thank you. That, moving on down. Honorable Freeland, 4 minutes, 41 seconds.
Speaker, can you hear me?
Speaker, I apologize for interrupting, but Mr. Exidy has indicated he is on the line and can answer Delegate Freeland's question.
Honorable Freeland, sorry. Honorable Freeland, you have 4 minutes and 41 seconds.
Okay, I found something too, so I might have found an answer to my own question, if I may. I'm not an attorney, but I'm just reading some language here. Section B, 20 of the New Mexico Gaming Compact. Nothing in subsection 7A shall be construed to waive, limit, or restrict any remedy that is otherwise available to either party to enforce or resolve disputes concerning the provisions of this compact. Nothing in this section shall be deemed a waiver of the tribe's sovereign immunity. Nothing in this section shall be deemed a waiver of the state's sovereign immunity. That's under Section 7. I think I found my answer, Speaker.
Okay.
Dana, I don't know if I found that, but thank you, Speaker. I waived the rest of my time.
Okay. Next year, you can take the Navajo bar. Honorable Freeland. Moving on down.
New Mexico, federal bar.
Yeah, federal bar. I have a new player, Honorable Vince James. Floor is yours. Good afternoon, Honorable James.
Good afternoon, Senate Speaker, other members of the council. Ja, det då där är nog inte särskilt hastigt så. Och då jag när hade då bes har jag skrivit arbete att det hade hut av unity och det är ju bara inte om kontakten till håll så ko. Har ju det är ibland det sitt då bara jag det sitt det är det ko. Ado ni heter sen den linje då. Ja, natis kito iya hajila o de la hajila iya hodod iya ni has ando hos doje hahozo has anje adila hot out iya sa an ko do sa ben hat an hat la banat o do has o se ho banat to kut ado hayat hi kon za to hol je ko Oko even nache in this case oko ani kodo da shinaye khazi honorable Mark Freeland lini piece so they not illegal hinas iki jo aje ya ido sato bedet ido sato do itno ata chokot au sad lini piece so ye khazi oko kodo o skin so bel kendi khato iya kojeta biniya da di nestro da sango ba ya da sil ko you wait out quite it or yo da ma hi khina lo quite let's say ya da gan lo quite ko da ban che khito le ko ko ana wa dan hit need ko da ba yi khan le ko ko de ya ko do ban os kha to se kha se lo shnat no lenigi ashode kodon jono aladit ahid o hayuj ya ibelan shedeyila anahoi aladit ahin khatan lenigin khatil neshi do it asahata do it asahat inda ko o hayuj ba ya ti do hos do de benyet khati khai she jato game je khata seta dan de added hakon shit no hala hos do hos anje aje khon lo do aje khatnas ne lebat khatna chokot besh kha o de kui de shi ade khon shlon she hol je ko sato an hat ayat ki ba hanit to ba yel ti ko hot nan sos lenegi khatliya sule ko ko Arizona je hot ba ya ta sil tie ko an je ta ho long dot an si ki so ko an sil ta ho jo pa ko hot ba hatis de shal ka se so do ha chinale janu mat ko that nan de Kodod gaming compact legislation ha in habik yan don habin ha ishi do ye the nebudges ko hun tail has ko hot in hana six hosto na habik in an zil hun za to hold just honorable Eugenia Charles Nguyen ko he didn't do list could de ba has street or list do things of that ko hot thank you.
Oh. Thank you. With that, colleagues, I don't have anybody else in the queue. We're ready to vote on amendment number 1. Going twice. Going 3 times. Let's go to board. Amendment number 1.
Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Kealan Begay Jr.
Delegate Callan, votes green.
Honorable Kealan Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. did not vote. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not vote. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton.
Charles Newton votes green.
Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Amber Knussbaum-Crotty.
Delegate Amber Knussbaum-Crotty votes green. Thank you.
Amber Knussbaum-Crotty votes green. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr.
Green.
Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona did not vote. Honorable Jamie Henyo.
You vote green.
Honorable Jamie Henyo votes green. Honorable Bruce James.
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Rich James votes green. Honorable Ricky Ness. Honorable Ricky Ness.
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Ricky Ness votes green. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater, green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. is excused. Honorable Otto So.
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Charlene So.
I vote
Honorable
green.
Charlene So. Honorable Charlene So votes green. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not vote. Honorable Eugene So.
Vote is out. Thank you.
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr.
Walker votes green.
Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. votes green. Honorable Edison Monica.
Green.
Honorable Edison Monica votes green. Honorable Edwin Yazzie.
Green.
Honorable Edwin Yazzie votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair did not vote. Going back up. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay via text votes green. Honorable Paul Begay Jr.
Green.
Honorable Paul Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not vote. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Daniel So.
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not vote. Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair did not vote. With that, Mr. Speaker, you have a vote of 20 in favor, 0 opposed, and 1 excused. Mr. Speaker?
For the record, Yellowhair votes green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellow Hair votes green. Mr. Speaker, you have a vote of 21 in favor, 0 opposed, and 1 excused, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. 21 in favor, 0 opposed. Speaker not voting, motion carries. That, colleagues, moving on. Back to the main motion. I'll have everybody else in the queue. Madam Chair, with 28 seconds.
Thank you, Speaker, colleagues. I appreciate the support for the amendment. It is not the amendment that was envisioned that would properly protect Navajo Nation, but it's just the amendment we could provide in a public setting without having discussion. I think, Speaker, we need to reform how we create the subcommittee in terms of their roles and responsibilities. From the reform of 89, we took away the power from the advisory council because it's every delegate has a right to be part of the negotiations, be at the table, and we should not be confined to having compacts where we cannot make modifications. Thank you.
Fine. Thank you. That, colleagues, I don't have anybody else. The queue, no one else. Reserve time. Voting on legislation 0064-21. Going twice. Went 3 times. Second reading.
Tell him.
Okay. Mr. Speaker and members of the Navajo Nation Council, there was one amendment to legislation number 0064-21 and one on page 4, line 5, insert the following new paragraph, new language, H, as stated in the dispute resolution section 15 of the 2021 Arizona Compact Amendments attached in red line as Exhibit E and in final form as Exhibit F. Quote, nothing in section 15C shall be interpreted as a waiver of the state's 10th Amendment or 11th Amendment immunity or as a waiver of the tribe's sovereign immunity, end quote. To renumber or reletter succeeding paragraphs, sections, or exhibits accordingly if necessary, this amendment shall supersede inconsistent language contained in this legislation, and any proposed amendment thereto shall be conformed to the intent or language of this amendment. The Office of Legislative Services, with notice to the sponsors of the legislation, is hereby authorized to make necessary grammatical changes. That concludes the second reading, Mr. Speaker.
That, colleagues, go to the board with one amendment on legislation 0064-21.
Honorable Elmer Begay.
I will agree.
Honorable Elmer Begay votes green. Honorable Kealan Begay Jr. Honorable Kealan Begay Jr.
Doug Kealan Begay votes green.
Honorable Kealan Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Paul Begay Jr.
Green.
Paul Begay Jr. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not vote. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton did not vote. Honorable Amber Knussbach. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Amber Knussbach Crotty. Honorable Amber Knussbach Crotty. Honorable Amber Knussbach Crotty.
Hold on. Honorable Yellow Hair, please, Honorable Yellow Hair, please mute your phone. Point of order, Vice Chair Smith.
Thank you, Chair. Speaker of the Navajo Nation Council. Point of order was, I have a lot of background noise and I'm recording the votes and I lost the votes on the green, and thank you for calling it out. That was my point of order. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Continue.
Honorable Amber Knussbach Crotty. Honorable Amber Knussbach Crotty.
Delegate Amber Keenan Bakrati votes red. Thank you.
Honorable Amber Knapp-Crotty votes red. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr.
I vote green.
Honorable Herman Daniels Jr. votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland. Honorable Mark Freeland. Honorable Mark Freeland did not vote. Honorable
Green.
Pernell Helona.
Freeland green.
Lord votes green.
Honorable Pernell Helona votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Jamie Henyo.
Delegate Henry votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henyo votes green. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Ricky Ness.
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Ricky Ness votes green. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. is excused. Honorable Otto So. Honorable Otto So.
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Charlene So.
I vote green.
Honorable Charlene So votes green. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not vote. Honorable Eugene So.
Vote toes. Yeah.
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr.
Walker
Honorable
votes
Thomas
green.
Walker. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. votes green. Honorable Edison Winika.
Green.
Honorable Edison Winika votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie.
Green.
Honorable Edmund Yazzie votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
Delegate Yellowhair votes green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. I'm back up. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not vote. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not vote. With that, Mr. Speaker, you have a vote of 19 in favor, 1 opposed, and 1 excused, Mr. Speaker.
Delegate Brown votes red.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes red. Mr. Speaker, you have a vote of 19 in favor, 2 opposed, and 1 excused, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, colleagues. With that, 19 in favor, 2 opposed, speaker not voting, and 1 delegate excused. On legislation 0064-21, that motion carries. Moving on down, colleagues, the legislation from here will be going through certification and then ultimately sent over to the president's desk. We're now at item number 7, close of session, announcements, adjournment. What is the will of the committee or will of the council?
Motion to adjourn. Auto self.
Second, Elmer PVG.
Oh, motion adjourned by Honorable Otto So, second by Vice Chair Smith. Any comments, questions? None? Go to board. Adjourning at 12:27 p.m.
Honorable Elmer Begay.
I vote green.
Honorable Elmer Begay votes green. Honorable Cal Begay Jr.
Delegate Calvin Jr. votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Cal Begay Jr. votes green. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. did not vote. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not vote. Honorable Eugene Charles
Delegate
Newton.
Brown votes green.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugene Charles Newton.
Charles Newton votes green.
Honorable Eugene Charles Newton votes green. Honorable Amber Kenneth Bakrati.
Delegate Amber Keenan Bakrati votes green. Thank you very much.
Honorable Amber Kenneth Bakrati votes green. Honorable Herman Daniels Jr.
Councilman Herman M. Daniels Jr. votes green.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels Jr. votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Helona. Honorable Pernell Helona. Honorable Pernell Halona did not vote. Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henyo.
Henyo votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henyo votes green. Honorable Vince James.
Okay, James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Ricky Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Ricky Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater.
Delegate Slater, green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. is excused. Honorable Otto So. Honorable Otto So.
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Charlene So.
I vote green.
Honorable Charlene So votes green. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So does not vote. Honorable Eugene So.
What is your say?
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr.
Thomas Walker votes green.
Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. votes green. Honorable Edison Winika.
Green.
Honorable Edison Winika votes green. Honorable Evan Yazzie.
Green.
Honorable Evan Yazzie votes green. Honorable Jimmy Yellenhair.
Delegate Yellenhair votes green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellenhair votes green. Going back up, Honorable Paul DeGay Jr.
Green.
Honorable Paul DeGay Jr. votes green. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So did not vote. With that, Mr. Speaker, you have a vote of 21 in favor, 0 opposed, and 1 excused, Mr. Speaker.
On a motion to adjourn, we are officially adjourned at 12:27 p.m. The vote in favor of, what was it? 21 in favor, 0 opposed. Chair not voting, motion carries. Thank you very much, colleagues. And thank you very much for being on the line this afternoon. Thank you very much, staff, for coming in on Saturday on this beautiful day. Everyone out there, enjoy your Saturday, enjoy your Sunday. We'll see you guys there on Monday, unless we have chapter meetings, which I do. So,
Thank you,
have a
Speaker.
good day, everyone. Stay safe out there. Mask up still. And I say that mask up, and I'm not even wearing one right now. Sorry. Again, thank you everyone for being on the line today, and I appreciate all the presenters and appreciate the leadership from Madam Chair and the subcommittee and everyone for doing a good job. Other than that, stay safe out there. Again, thank you everyone listening across the great Navajo Nation. Have a good day. Go on it.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Kondo.
Okay.
Have a good day, everyone.
Oh.
Amen.